hands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In case of fire, there are two ways to exit the chambers. To my left, you'd exit through the double doors, turn left, walk down the flight of stairs, turn left again at the bottom, and go directly outside of the building. Or the best way, perhaps, is at the rear of the chamber, through those double doors. In either case, once you're outside of the building, please walk a safe distance away from the building. Secretary, please take the roll.
Charles Durin.
Here.
Charles Ladd, absent. Nick Lafakis.
Here.
Mary Scott.
Here.
Virginia Higley.
Here.
Ken Nelson.
Here.
Linda DeGray.
Here.
Sarah Gruber.
Here.
Guillermo Salazar.
Here.
And Richard Suzak is here.
Linda DeGray is sitting in for the absent commissioner. Makes it up, I guess. Okay. Now you have on the desk in front of you, and it's discussion of the capital budget. And you have the answers to the questions that were asked and sent in. You want to take a minute to read them? We have a resolution here for that. There's not a resolution. Jen, is there a resolution for this?
No, well, actually, yes, there should have been included in your packets a resolution.
I don't see it.
It was provided by the town attorney. I have a copy here if you...
No, I'm talking, this is a resolution on the
Oh, sorry, I skipped it.
the budget.
The budget. I was ahead of you. I'm sorry. No, we did not receive a budget, but I guess the motion would be to forward your recommendation to...
Well, I guess we could add or
add recommendations if you wanted to. similar to
prepare
last
our
year.
own. Any discussion on the answers or on the budget?
We received the answers late in the day today, but I was told that if you have any further questions, that we could direct them again towards the town manager's office, or if you just wanted to forward recommendations similar.
Is your microphone on?
Yep.
Okay.
Move it closer. Or we can just forward recommendations to them for the budget.
Yeah, you can make a recommendation to approve then if you have no further questions.
I'd like to make a recommendation to approve the capital budget presented to us.
Is presented, right. Do I get a second? Second. All in favor? It's unanimous. Okay. You also have in front of you the zoning enforcement report, and the zoning enforcement officer or assistant is here. He can answer your questions. Take a minute to take a look at that if you'd like.
I did have one question
Yes.
about the Pearl Street, 11 Pearl Street. Are those vehicles being parked outside? The photo shows vehicles all parked right in front of the bay doors.
Vehicles are also being parked inside. Vehicles are being housed inside, and those vehicles happen to be outside at the time the picture was taken.
I was just wondering if that, because I've gone by there, I've never seen one, so then I'm like, are
No,
they
they
starting?
they just happen to be outside this
Okay.
particular date and time, so.
All right.
Most of the vehicles are housed inside.
All right, that was my question.
They were reported, that was reported to us, I don't know how long ago, so how long has it been down there?
Since last summer.
Yeah, because I forget when,
It's, the building itself, the LLC has it registered as a storage warehouse out of Massachusetts.
but they never came to us for any
No.
change from
No,
the fire
they-
department to anything.
There's never been an approval for anything for that particular, and that use is not allowed down there, so there's an issue in that itself. He came in to speak to me about it, was given an application to submit for approval before this board for a use, but he hasn't come back in since that time, and that was probably 2 weeks ago.
How long does it take before it's referred to the fines or the next step?
The next step would be, I gave him a little time because I was under the impression he was going to submit an application. He hasn't done so, so at any time I can issue the cease and desist. He has 10 days after that. If he doesn't submit anything, then it would go to a citation.
Well, just myself, I'd prefer to see him do something, whether it's come in here, because I'm only one, but I don't think it belongs down there in the center of town, especially with a TOD going. We're going with a TOD.
Yep, I'll follow up on it, take care of it.
That's my opinion. I don't know if the rest go with that, but it really doesn't belong there.
Charlie, a quick question about, on our desk tonight was this spreadsheet with what looks like zoning enforcement status updates, and then we also have in our booklet an April 2018 that's sort of in narrative form with some pictures, but it doesn't look like it has everything. Can you tell me the different?
The spreadsheet is just something that I keep track of the complaints that come in. There's some minor ones on there, or what I would consider minor, but I keep track of all the complaints that come in. So since the first of the year, there's been 37 or 38 complaints for different violations. So that's just the spreadsheet. And I normally incorporate pictures in some of the major violations that are going on.
Okay, so then what we received in our other packet was just sort of more notable.
Those same will be found in the spreadsheet. It's just that this is a little more information for you.
Thank you.
There's a couple others in here too that in the book that were there. Fairfield Road, they've been notified on since January.
Right, they've been issued a cease and desist order. The property owner came in on,
Oh, they've been in?
yep,
All right.
they've been in, and it's been explained to them. They have to cease and desist from that activity because they're running a courier service out of the residential home.
But it says at the end, it's never ceased. Have they stopped?
This past Monday, he came in. He's given 10 days to abide by the cease and desist order, so
Oh, all right.
that just went out, so.
And this sand and gravel, which is also, seems like a major violation.
Yep, that's, we're working with Deep, and I just spoke to the town attorney for further action on that.
Okay, so in a way, you'd say the ones in the folder are major, really,
Correct.
compared to some of the others. Any further questions? All right. Approval of minutes of the 5th of April.
So moved.
Motion's made
Second.
and seconded. Any additions, errors, or omissions?
I had one small edit on page 10, just that the Connecticut Federation of Planning and Zoning officials should be planning and zoning agencies. That's all I have.
Okay. Anything further?
I have a small comment on page 3. It says, Commissioner Nelson stated that state law requires people to buy 6 chicks according to Tractor Supply. And I was here, I understand the comment, but I mean, the way it's written makes it seem like state law is by Tractor Supply. So maybe a comma.
It may be state law.
It is.
It is.
Tractor Supply
It
informed
is,
him about
yeah.
what state law was.
Right.
I don't know if you all saw it, but there was an editorial in the JI last Friday, I believe, on 6, it was their major. It was interesting. So we did get notice. I don't know, so what do you think? Well, do you want that added as state law?
Well, it says state law, but I mean, just the way it reads, I think maybe either by modifying that sentence a little bit, because it appears that it's saying state law as per Tractor Supply. So.
Okay.
According to someone at Tractor Supply, state law says that 6 chicks.
Yeah, that'd
That's,
be perfect.
I think, how it went down.
All right. Anything further? All in favor as amended?
I'll abstain.
Oh, 1 abstention. 601. All right. At this point in the meeting, we welcome comments and concerns and opinions relating to planning and zoning in Enfield from anyone who's present, provided you may not discuss any matter of business at this time that's elsewhere on this agenda, any matter that's part of an open public hearing of the commission, or any matter where a decision of the commission may be pending. Is there anyone who would like to address the commission under those conditions? Anyone would like to address the commission under those conditions? Last call to address the commission under those conditions. Hearing none, we shall go on to the next part of the agenda. Bond releases, 35 Bacon Road. Site restoration bond, the amount of $370,260, and the soil and erosion control bond, the amount of $8,500. Since they're written as 2 separate motions, the way they are presented, I believe. Discussion on the,
Just one quick question.
go ahead.
Are, everything is like, the plantings and everything are all there? And is that, I know that.
They are there. We usually take a year for landscaping, the landscaping bond. Everything seems to be fine at this point in time.
Okay.
Yeah, the
haven't been out there,
landscaping
that's why I'm
bond
asking.
we hold, yeah. Okay. The first is the soil and erosion control bond for $8,500.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution for the Town of Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission, SPR 1683.02, for the release of the Phase 2 erosion control bond in the amount of $8,500.
Second.
Okay, no, I know, I was just trying to figure where the, there's no date on this, so the referral. I'm going to ask you to read this then,
Okay.
because there's no referral date on here.
Okay. The resolution of the Town of Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission, SPR 83.02 WE25 Bacon Road LLC, 150 Baker Avenue Extension Suite 303, Concord, Mass. 01742, 25 Bacon Road, map 95, lot 05, release of Phase 2 soil and erosion control bond in the amount of $8,500. Whereas the Town of Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission has reviewed the request for the release of Phase 2 soil and erosion control bond in the amount of $8,500 for the property located at 25 Bacon Road, Enfield, Connecticut, map 95, lot 5, owner WE25 Bacon Road LLC. Whereas the site has been inspected by the Planning Division staff and the responsibilities of the applicant for the soil and erosion control bond have been fulfilled. Whereas the site has been inspected by the Town of Enfield Engineering Department and the responsibilities of the applicant for the soil and erosion control bond have been fulfilled. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town of Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission hereby approves the release of the Phase 2 soil and erosion control bond of $8,500 to WE25 Bacon Road LLC for the property located at 25 Bacon Road in Enfield, Connecticut.
Second.
Okay, that's the motion, and now it's seconded. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Unanimous, 700. Again, when these are written again, please make sure it's a memo and who it's from and date. Thank you. Okay, the next one is the soil, I'm sorry, it's a site restoration bond.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution of the Town of Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission, SPR 1683.02, WE25 Bacon Road LLC, 150 Baker Avenue Extension, Suite 303, Concord, Mass. 01742. 25 Bacon Road, map 095, lot 0005. Release of Phase 2 Site Improvement Performance Bond number S305370 in the amount of $370,260. Whereas the Town of Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission has reviewed the request for the release of the Phase 2 Site Improvement Performance Bond number S305370 in the amount of $370,260 for the property located at 25 Bacon Road, Enfield, Connecticut, map 095, lot 0005, owner WE25 Bacon Road, LLC. Whereas the site has been inspected by the Planning Division staff and the responsibilities of the applicant for the Site Improvement Performance Bond have been fulfilled. Whereas the site has been inspected by the Town of Enfield Engineering Department and the responsibilities of the applicant for the Site Improvement Performance Bond have been fulfilled. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town of Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission hereby approves the release of the Phase 2 Site Improvement Performance Bond number S305370 in the amount of $370,260 to WE25 Bacon Road LLC for property located at 25 Bacon Road, Enfield, Connecticut.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Unanimous, 700. Okay, the next is discussion and a resolution concerning the Enfield Distribution Center, LLC versus the Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission. And this is docket number LND HHD CV 17 6080 396S. Secretary, please take the roll and read the legal notice. Or reverse.
I'll,
Here.
The Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, April 19th, 2018 at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Council Chambers, 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, concerning the following application. Discussion resolution, Enfield Distribution Center, LLC versus the Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission, docket number LND HHD CV 17 6080 0396-S, dated this 8th day of April 2018. Charles Duran, Chairman. Charles Duran.
Here.
Charles Ladd is absent. Nick Lefakis.
Here.
Mary Scott.
Here.
Virginia Higley.
Here.
Ken Nelson.
Here.
Linda DeGray.
Here.
Sarah Gruber.
Here.
Guillermo Salazar.
Here.
And Richard Suzak is here.
Linda DeGray sits in on this. Okay, up for discussion. You people that attended, I guess, could do some light for us. That attended the hearing, if you would like.
There, it's my understanding, and whoever else was there can jump in if I'm misstating anything, but the court case hasn't been finalized yet. They'll go back in very soon, and if everything goes accordingly, then it can be finished, and we will withdraw our concerns, and it will be approved for the 10 existing bays. They are allowed to have trucks 24/7, but not the other bays.
Well, I don't know if people have this stipulation.
Well, the stipulation that's in our packet and the resolution proposed resolution that the commission will act on tonight discusses more fully what's happening here, but essentially the case was up for trial. There was a pre-trial conference at which some commission members attended, and now we are going to potentially resolve this case subject to all the notice requirements that we must follow. So whatever action we take tonight is not the end of it. There's still going to be a hearing in the land court, and at that time,
Well, should read the stipulation, I
right.
would say.
I think that's a good idea.
Well, I can read it if you want. It's docket number, and this was said HD-LND-CV-17-60603996-S, Enfield Distribution Center LLC versus Town of Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission, Superior Court, J.D. of Hartford at Hartford, April 19th, 2018. Stipulation settlement agreement is made and entered into this 19th day of April 2018 by and between the Enfield Distribution Center LLC, EDC, and the Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission, parentheses PZC, recitals. The parties to this stipulation are parties to the above captioned action, which is an appeal pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes 8-8, parentheses, appeal. Number 2, the parties wish to resolve the appeal by agreement for good and valuable consideration, including the mutual promises contained herein. The parties agree that, number 1, the modified the site plan approved by the PZC on November 5th, 2015, is hereby modified as to EDC's use of the loading docks at the 35 Manning Road building as follows. The condition of 7 o'clock a.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. truck use of loading docks at the 35 Manning Road building shall apply only to 10 loading docks. The remaining 12 loading docks are unrestricted as to days and hours of use. C, the condition prohibiting semi-trailers on Sunday is removed. Effective date, the modification shall be effective upon court approval of this stipulation. 3, withdrawal of action. Upon court approval of this stipulation, EDC shall withdraw the appeal without cost or fees. 4, modification. The stipulation may be modified only by written agreement signed by both parties hereto, or after formal application to the Commission under its standard procedure for modification of conditions. 5, entire agreement. The stipulation is the entire agreement of the parties concerning the subject matter hereof and executing the stipulation. No party has relied upon any statements representations, or agreements, whether oral or written, relating to the subject matter hereof, except as expressively set forth herein. 6, governing law. This stipulation shall be deemed to be made under the laws of the state of Connecticut, and for all purposes shall be governed by and construed in accordance with the law thereof. The parties agree that this stipulation is made in Connecticut and agree to the continuing jurisdiction of this court with respect to the subject matter of the stipulation. In witness, the stipulation has been duly executed and delivered pursuant to property authority as of the day and year first written above. Plaintiff, Enfield Distribution Center, and the defendant, Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission, by the attorneys David Sherwood and Christopher Bronson.
I'll read the resolution when we do.
Well, I think I have to open the public. Anything further on anything that was said or read, or feelings, or well, basically what we were told here is that some of the regulations pertaining to hours and traffic on the streets, basically my understanding is that it's illegal according to the state of Connecticut laws.
Yeah. Basically, yeah, they were saying the subject site plan approval was outside the scope of commission authority, unenforceable, and couldn't be upheld. So,
Thank you.
and
all
that's
I wanted.
pretty much the essence of it.
It wasn't the regulations, it was the conditions that were imposed
The conditions.
by the commission.
Anyone in the public would like to speak in favor or against this resolution? Yes, ma'am, please come forward. Name and address.
Janie Lero, 12 Manning
No,
Road.
for the microphone, because the
Oh,
secretary
sorry.
didn't hear it.
I thought I was speaking loud enough.
Well, we're all,
Janie Lero, 12 Manning Road, Enfield. Actually, I guess I was a little surprised at this because I have attended many of these meetings, and I really thought this last actually approval or disapproval of this amendment to this 7-day operation was not going to go through. As it is, nobody's following it anyway, this 7 to 7. I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and trucks are going. I take my brother to dialysis, so I have to be out of the house at 5:45. I walk my dogs. The trucks are still going when I get home at 5 after 6, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Saturday, it's a speed for all with those budget trucks. I don't know, they go zooming down, and they get more and more and more of them. I just don't understand why there can't be a compromise somewhere. Obviously, I'm tired of the trucks. I'm tired of the dirt. I'm tired of my ceilings being cracked. I'm actually tired of coming here complaining about the same things over and over again. I think that somewhere along the line, the amount of money that people have used to get lawyers to do this up and back, I think the road or some kind of access center to get off that street would have been more than paid for. Then nobody would be here complaining they could have a 7-day operation 24/7. Nobody would care. I mean, it seems like that would be the solution to the problem, but yet it's like, nobody's following it, nobody's enforcing it. I mean, I constantly complain. I mean, I'm not the only one that's complaining about them speeding. I'm not the only one that's complaining about the trucks. I mean, 7 to 7, yes, Monday through Saturday, we were living with it. I mean, now 7 days? I mean, there's people, we have families, we have children, we have dogs. We like to end up, enjoying our home. I pay my taxes. I really want to be left alone. I don't want to see all this. It's like we call it the highway now, since they fixed the road. It's no longer just Manning Road, it's the highway. And again, who do you complain to? You complain to the police department. They say, hey, we're short-staffed, budget cuts. Well, yeah, I understand that too. I understand it all.
But
it's
again,
not that I don't feel sympathetic, because I do. I mean, when you're complaining about something, when you've got a lot of other riffraff going in town, yes, it seems very minute. But if somebody gets killed on that street, or somebody else gets hurt. There's a bus stop here, there's a bus stop here. The buses are constantly going around now. It used to just go down Manning and go to Companion. Now somehow the buses are going down Catalina and going around to Companion, coming up Manning. So it's a great big circle. I mean, I don't know, I just think that somewhere along the line has to be drawn. I mean, I think that if everybody just gets together, there's a solution somewhere. There has to be. I mean, they found a solution to the cracked foundations. Everybody's going to get taxed, $10 more. You know, whether they like it or not, foundation, it's going to be a dead issue. Foundations for crumbling, foundations in Connecticut's going to get fixed. I mean, this is a small road. There's an access. Just use it, fix it, and life will be good.
Well, as you know, the P&Z has tried, and unfortunately,
I know that most of your hands are
This is
tied. It's
decided.
not that I don't. And I feel, but it's just like at the end of the day, these people don't live there. They don't live on our street. They don't. It's a short street. It's not like we're talking like, 20 houses. It's 14 houses. It's a short street. And there's a hill, and that's what it is. Boom, boom. I asked for rumble strips at one point. I ended up getting a petition. I got everybody except 2 people on Manning Road because they weren't home. I got Catalina, I got Companion. Everybody signed, thought it was a great thing. This was before the road was done. Okay, now I don't even know whether that is still in the bucket or not. But it's just like, again, it doesn't stop the 7 days a week, but maybe, I'm just trying to think at the end of the day, traffic, I don't know. I just have to voice my opinion because I just don't think this is right.
I'm glad you're here to voice your opinion, really.
It's just not right. I mean, it's just, it's like it's my home. My parents' home, my home. I live there. I got a disabled brother. He can't sit outside anymore. He can't. Even when with the construction of the road, I mean, it was ridiculous for him because he goes to dialysis. They dug up the road. I told them that he was coming home. They dug it up anyway, and there was no place for him to walk even up. I mean, I've had to endure an awful lot because I live on the corner. My ceilings were fixed. Now they're ruined again. They're ruined because of the road, okay? Maybe they'll get fixed when I have enough money, but at the end of the day, it's this rumbling. I hear less because the road has been fixed, so that's a plus. It's no longer the bumpity bump. But my bedroom is still on Manning Road. Okay, my brother's is on the other side of the house. But I'm just trying to tell you, somewhere along the line, there has to be a fix. And again, they don't live here. They don't care. They don't care. It's not their home. They don't sit there and go out there and mow the grass, pick up dirt, fix the yard every single weekend. This is my home. I love it, and I want to live and die there, and I don't want the riffraff. And I think that Sunday, God's day, is a day of rest. Everybody should just cool it. Thank you.
We did plead the case, and we definitely talked to the judge who was involved in it, and we indicated, all the features that we heard and all the concerns that we had. And the unfortunate thing is that, there is a federal law and there is state law. And unfortunately, they circumvent whatever we tried to do. And, we were told that it was totally illegal to do that. And we do sympathize with you, and we did plead the case. We talked to them, and we tried to, make some sense out of what was going on there. But ultimately, at the end of the day, they say, justice is blind. And at this point, justice is blind in terms of, she can't see past the fact that, it's a law, but then she can't see all the people that are affected by this law, even if it's to the negative, aspect of it. Right. So in that sense, we did go, there was a bunch of us. There was at least, I think, 8 or 10 of us who went.
There were.
And we did, talk to the judge, and we tried to convince him that what we did was, for the good of the neighborhood. But, again, at the end of the day, he says you just can't do that because of the laws that are there. So our hands are really tied, and we really are sympathetic with, your plight. But, there is nothing that we really can do. other than maybe go to jail or something if we don't, abide by their requirements. So, somewhere, we have to sort of, come to an agreement with some of our regulations, or try to, modify some of our regulations to, again, not have that occur in any other locations. Unfortunately, this all occurred back in the 1950s or 60s, and our hands are tied at this point because of what happened 70 years ago. So in that sense, we did try and we did do the best that we could, but it was to no avail. It just wasn't going to happen that anybody was going to listen to us.
So how do they find? I mean, do you find people when they're in violation? I mean, when you're the 7 to 7? I mean, I don't know exactly. I was trying to.
No, that's illegal. We can't stop.
We can't.
That's all the trucking regulations by the federal government.
Yes, we can. And the stipulation that would be approved, if it does get approved by the court, does, and I correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I remember, I think the compromise here was they would voluntarily agree to keep to those hours for the loading docks that they currently use. And the loading docks that they currently don't use, they want to make it available in the event that they sell the property to someone who would use the loading docks to their fullest extent. But as it stands, they should be and have voluntarily agreed if this gets approved to stay to those hours. Now, your other question was, well, who's going to enforce the hours? That's a problem.
Exactly.
But I will say, I'm somewhat of a newcomer to this commission, but when I attended the pretrial, I have to say everyone on this commission is fighting for you, and we hear you.
Basically going out and screenshotting these trucks with license plates. I mean, maybe that's where it needs to go. Maybe the money that you're going to be allocating from these fines by not following the ordinance that was in place, that will build a road.
Well, this is a stipulation, and it's the condition of 7 to 7. Use of the loading docks at 35 Manning Road shall apply only to 10 loading docks. The remaining 12 are unrestricted as to days, so you're only getting a percentage. You're not getting entire trucks.
So who's going to watch which loading dock this truck pulls out of?
Right. Exactly, yes.
Has anybody requested the town council to do a traffic study on the street for safety?
They've had the monitors from the police.
I think they did that prior to when the complaint went in, I believe.
And nobody came up with reducing the speed limit to 5 miles an hour? Make it so it deters them, and they start to say, well, maybe it's easier for us. There's an access road, you're saying?
No, there isn't.
Okay.
No.
Oh, there isn't?
No, there had been, back when the town gave up the school property, we reserved land to the north of the school, which goes for the town. But so that would be between the ponds,
The water company
ponds, and where the school was. And that idea, whether the P&Z at that time, was to allow access down there. But then I guess people have done some studies, and I don't know, I think the land is...
It's pretty wet.
Yeah, wet, and there's a lot of dips, and so I don't know if it was prohibitive at cost. I don't know if anybody did an engineering study of it, but...
There's been two monitorings of the street of Manning Road that I know of by the police department on 2 separate occasions. And on one occasion, there was only one vehicle that was stopped for speeding. They didn't have any issues with any of the trucks. It was just a motor vehicle car that was stopped for the speeding violation. So at this point, we can maybe contact the police department and see if we can get them to do another study of the area.
Let me ask you a question. Do they use, is it Jake brakes going down the street?
I'm sorry?
They have what they call Jake brakes. I guess I understand they make a lot of noise.
Yeah, but they don't use
Do
them.
they use them on that street?
Well, they have to. When they're slowing down, it's an automatic.
No, it's not.
It's not?
No.
It is on
Absolutely
dump
not.
trucks.
I know we had a...
It's not. You can shut them off, Ginny.
That's illegal.
I know.
What's illegal?
I know
shutting
they had
off a Jake
trouble
Brick
on
a construction.
a street in the south end of town, was that they were using them, and they put up a notice to not
Well,
to
you
use
could
them.
get them on a noise ordinance for that.
But the problem is that they're just noisy even when they're going the speed limit.
Yeah.
They're noisy at times of day that you would want to be sleeping. So, you know, a traffic study, I don't know how, I understand why you'd want it, and of course there are going to be people speeding, but the problem is that it's just incompatible. What they're doing there is incompatible with how you want to live. And that's the problem. It's just, it doesn't make sense to have that there and have them drive through your neighborhood every day, at all hours of the day.
Oh, I understand, but what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to figure out, well, okay, these people that are not even following the ordinance, they should be punished, and obviously they're not. I mean, on Saturday, it's what I'm trying to say, but Saturday is the worst day. Saturday is the worst day with the budget trucks.
We can't do anything about
It's
it.
What about,
awful.
Rick, what about code enforcement? Is there any way that you guys can monitor or see what's on that street? I don't know if we've even gone there.
Well, it's kind of difficult because of it.
What code?
What code? It's
We don't-
the road. We don't.
We don't do the we don't do the roads. Planning does the properties and the, you know, what goes in them, but the police do the roads. We
Right,
have no
and
say
that needs
over
to
it.
go through the town council for
Yep.
them to request the study.
Yep.
So if, maybe Rick can reach out and try one more and.
Yeah, what we can do is not necessarily a study, but we can ask them to monitor that area with officers who work midnights, or that sort of thing. That's been done in areas of town before. So we can reach out to the PD and see if they can have officers on the midnight shift check the hours in the morning and late at night to see if they're getting any trucks in there, and we'll see if we can get a count back to see how many trucks are actually going down there after hours.
But I think in light
I
of
thought they
the-
had, at some point, I thought in the last meeting, and again, this was not the one concerning the issue tonight, but they were supposed to have the cameras on the other building adjacent to the last meeting on the storage units. I think when the last meeting I came to, they were talking about end up having cameras to actually see it. So I'm thinking to myself, well, if this guy's going to have the cameras here, he can see the other loading dock, what they're doing, that they're not supposed to be there when they're coming up and down the road. There'll be some kind of cameras going
I
on.
believe those cameras were for security. They weren't for monitoring the traffic.
no.
It was just security for their property. It wasn't monitoring traffic.
Well, I just thought, you know how sometimes even with the buildings,
I think
they
maybe-
show more than what actually they want, you know. So
What Commissioner Nelson mentioned perhaps would be to go to the council meeting and discuss with them possible help that the council could give you.
You're really only going to restrict the speed because they can run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from all the other loading docks. So the police officer's not going to say, well, which loading dock did you come out of?
No, they're not going to sit
It's
there
a
and
bad
watch the loading
situation
docks.
for everybody. And, you know, I would go to the court and plead your case with them because that's what this commission has done and we're losing. So you're the resident, your heartfelt plead to them holds a lot more weight than a volunteer commission that's just trying to help you.
Well, I understand, but I didn't even know that you could do that. Do you know? And I didn't even know that this was happening, to tell you the truth. So, I mean, I was like blindsided by thinking, okay, somebody said they were going to court, and I'm like, well, okay. And then nothing. It's like, I would have gone to court.
Well, so here's what happens when you go to court. Let's say you go to court and plead your case, and the judge denies the stipulation. Then we go to trial, and we could lose, and we get no conditions on what they're doing. So that's why the stipulation is here, because, you know, the commission members that attended the pretrial were told you are likely to lose. So that's why this is
Well,
here.
you would, yes.
Yeah.
Definitely would
It's a
lose.
huge compromise that we're making to try to get you something. Something's better than nothing.
And that's why
And
these
it's-
other possible avenues of solution, other than fighting the stipulation, which could potentially result in no help at all. In fact, going backwards from where we tried to position ourselves. So that's why the suggestion is try to find places where, you know, is this a zoning boundary change issue? Is this a town council issue? Is this a police issue? You know, the commission is dedicated to the Manning Road residents, but there's very little that we can do on the state of what the zoning map says and on the state of the regulations. So at this point,
Right. The only thing I think we can do is in the future, any new business going in there, when they come in for their approvals, you know, that's part of the approval.
But this was a site plan, which means we can't, and the problem was it was a site plan, and you can't put certain conditions on a site plan. So that's the problem here. So if it's zoned industrial, they can do what they want, many things, with just a site plan.
When Hallmarks was there, there was times, and again, because I have the old minutes of the meeting when.
Oh, yeah.
There were times, and they could not go at a certain time. They could not go on weekends at all.
But the problem was nobody appealed it.
And at that point, it's just like, you know, I mean, everybody came and said that we didn't want this, but then it got to be, well, okay, then somebody else bought it, and then somebody else.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, everything just gets lost through the system. So again, it's like, okay, somebody else buys this piece of property, and it's like, okay, then they want something else. You approve this, like, because you approved this, and that's what happened. It got approved, and then they wanted more. They weren't happy with what you gave them. It was like the greedy little child. They want more, you know? Unfortunately, you know?
Yeah, that's
That's exactly what the judge, you know, it's one of those kind of things where if it's an allowed use, and that the problem is that it is industrial use, and as soon as it became industrial use, our hands are tied in terms of we could not even, if we denied the building from being constructed in an industrial zone as an industrial building, they would have appealed it and they would have won the appeal because we couldn't deny them from building an industrial building in an industrial zone on industrial land. So it's kind of a losing battle that we were in, and the judge said, you know, no matter what we did, you know, we were in a losing position. So, you know, this is the best that we could do is get a little bit of concession rather than no concessions at all. And even though they might be mute concessions, but, you know, we could sort of at least say, you know, we're trying to fight, you know, as best as we could to try to get something rather than nothing at all.
Okay. I mean, like I said,
Yeah, as it was said earlier, it goes way back to when the tool company was first, or whatever was the first company down there. Once the industrial label had been put on down there, that opened the road. But as you said, they agreed to the stipulations apparently at that time. And then it's changed hands over the years.
I actually have a question. I'm not sure. What happens if it ever got changed back to residential? The whole. I mean, I'm just curious. Could that happen?
Yes.
Yes.
So a builder could come in there and say that they want homes built versus the industrial docks or whatever they're doing there.
If somebody decided they wanted to take, I don't know the name of the company, the old Hallmark place, and turn that into apartments, yes.
But you don't even need someone to come in
No, you
to
don't.
offer to
Well,
change it. If there were a map change and it were zoned residential,
We rezoned it, yeah. We can
then that
rezone it.
business could keep going. But if at any point they wanted to expand or do something different,
Yep.
Yeah.
that's when it ends.
And when they
Yeah,
can't do it
but
anymore.
they would still be allowed
The use.
to be there in the use.
Yeah.
Until that ends.
Until
Until
the
it
use
ends.
ceases.
But then
yes.
after that, it's got to be residential.
Yeah. Yep.
I see. Okay.
I wouldn't discuss that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else would like to speak in favor or against? Anyone else would like to speak in favor or against? Last call to speak in favor or against. Any comments, concerns, discussion from the commissioners? Okay, read the resolution. I'm sorry, oh, okay, yeah, thank you. Forget where I'm at. I'll close the public hearing on the discussion of the Enfield Distribution Center LLC versus Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission.
I'd like to put forth a motion to approve the resolution to resolve and settle the pending appeal of Enfield Distribution Center LLC versus Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission, docket number LND-HHD-CV 2018-6080396-S in accordance with the attached stipulation for the following reasons. 1, the above referenced appeal was pre-tried twice with the Honorable George Levine. 2, Planning and Zoning Commission members attended the second pretrial and were directly informed that conditions imposed on the subject site plan approval were outside the scope of Commission authority, unenforceable, and would not be upheld. 3, the Commission seeks to make all its decisions in compliance with the general statutes as interpreted by Connecticut courts.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor? It's unanimous. 7-0-0. Okay, public hearing. 292, 370 North Maple Street, special permit modification application, expansion and maintenance of a building property. Before we call this, we just received, or on the desk before, the plans. They weren't in the packet, so if you would please, before you start anything, is give us a chance to look at the drawings. And so I'd say probably 5 to 10 minutes. Now,
Two F's. Chapman. C-H-A-P. Man. Mayfield.
Perfect, thank you.
I can't picture it outside. If you can see it, it's It's right there, right? Parking lot's right there, yeah. I can't picture the windows.
The Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, April 12, 2018, at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Council Chambers, 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, concerning the following application. Public hearing 2902, 370 North Maple Street, special permit extension and modification to a maintenance building to the property Mayfield Place LLC. Owner applicant, map 70A, Lot 30, Multifamily Housing District, MFHD, dated this 7th day of April 2018. Charles Duran, Chairman. And now I'm going to take roll. Okay, Charles Duran. Nick Lefakis.
Here.
Mary Scott.
Here.
Virginia Higley.
Here.
Ken Nelson. Linda DeGray.
Here.
Sarah Gruber.
Here.
Guillermo Salazar.
Here.
And Richard Suzak is here.
Okay, Linda DeGray will be sitting in for the absent commissioner. Introduce yourselves, please, name and address, and tell us exactly what you're going to do.
Good evening. Jay Ursary, J.R. Russo and Associates, office address, Shawham Road, East Windsor, Connecticut. And Cliff Chapman is with me here this evening. Cliff is the owner and developer of Mayfield Place. So that being said, let me put a board up here and kind of walk you through the site and the building addition, and then we can go from there. So I think you're all pretty familiar with Mayfield. This was a project that was approved by this commission back in 2013. This is a luxury apartment development, 34 buildings, 340 units with a clubhouse and pool, and a maintenance facility. It's located on North Maple Street on the east side of the road. Almost to the state line of Massachusetts, and we're located easterly here. If we look at the plan, we have North Maple Street that's here, site located to the east, private driveway, Mayfield Place, Mayfield Drive. The Dartmoor condominium is located to the east and behind us. The maintenance facility is the only building that's actually located on the southerly side of the roadway, and it's being shown down here on the south side of the project. The original building that you approved is built, and they are using it. There's also a mail building that's located there. So that kind of places us in terms of its location. I'm going to flip this around. We've got another sheet here.
Would you turn that so we can see that too? And the cameras will pick it up, but I don't know. That's fine, thank you.
So here we have the sheet that's just showing us the southerly side of the road and the location of the maintenance facility itself. Mayfield Drive is here. Again, North Maple out here. Driveway coming in, the mail building is located right here. There's a one-way turnaround for the cars to come in, pick up their mail. And the maintenance facility itself is located over here, and we're looking for a small addition, 3,500 square feet, on the easterly end of the building. The building is obviously used to house all of their grounds maintenance equipment, lawnmowers, trimmers, blowers, all of that type of thing. Snow maintenance equipment, there are trucks and plows and loaders and that type of thing, as well as all the maintenance of the facility itself. And when I say that, I mean the units. Mr. Chapman maintains his own facility, interior and outside, so they have pretty much everything that might need to be replaced in any one of these units, as some of us do as homeowners. We like to keep extra parts around, if you will, but they've got appliances. If they need a new stove, it's there. Dishwasher, microwave oven, flooring materials. If they need to replace some tile in a bathroom and it's 2 years down the road, you're never going to find the same tile again, so they have plenty of extra tile. That's all stored in this building. Hardwood flooring, carpeting, almost anything that you could think of that might be in one of these units, there's plenty of spare in this building that they keep. So if an appliance goes and they're all a match set, we've got a new one that we can replace it with, and we don't have to go to the appliance store and buy a whole new set of something when we only need a new microwave oven or maybe a stove or a dishwasher. So all of that stuff is stored in here. So what they found is they're running out of space. They need a little more room. We're showing an addition over here. That area was a gravel storage area located on the east side of the road for the most part. And there is not much change in impervious coverage when it comes to drainage. There's about an additional 1,700 square feet of coverage that this building will take up. We reran the drainage calcs, and it shows no increase in any of the storm events in terms of outflow through the drainage system, and there is a detention basin that's part of this entire complex that's located over here, and that was submitted as part of the application package through your planning office. The construction will be exactly the same as the other building. You do have architecturals that is part of your packet. But I also brought along some photographs. I've got some for each of you because I think it's a little easier sometimes to look at pictures so we can see what the building looks like.
Thanks. Thank you.
So as you can see, it's brick construction. The existing building, the addition will be the same. It's a architectural asphalt roof shingle. The addition will be the same, and it'll pretty much match what you see there. I think there'll be one more overhead door, two, on the front of this building. And when it's all done, I don't know that you'll even know the difference. It's just going to be a little bit longer and, again, used for dry storage. I also did include some pictures of the actual units in there. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the other application. Most of you have probably been in there, but I thought it'd be nice to include that so you could see what the buildings look like. So it's fairly simple application. Again, small addition to the maintenance facility. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer the board.
It's not mentioned, but you did mention that there are vehicles parked in there, lawnmowers and lawn equipment, I guess, gardening and so forth. How about storage of gasoline and oils?
There's no maintenance done on any of the equipment here or vehicles. That's done at their Vernon facility. So there is no storage of fuel or any of that type of thing in there.
So you mean if you have a truck that needs gasoline, you drive all the way to Vernon to fill it?
No, they go to the gas station.
Oh, all right. And same with the lawnmower?
The lawnmowers, they have service trucks, I think, that have their own fueling on the trucks. So they have many service vehicles.
We have service vehicles?
Yes.
And where are the service vehicles kept?
Those are kept in Vernon.
Oh, all right. Any questions, other questions? Yes. Ken?
The operation that they have is unbelievable.
Oh,
I mean, they're a huge desire in Enfield. It's nice to see the apartments going in. And I know the company, their reputation, and everything. It's a brick maintenance building. That itself speaks. I mean, most of these guys throw up these little plastic lean-tos, throw their stuff in it, and, you know, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about quality, and he's a great partner to have.
I park on the side road every so often and just watch them. It's amazing. Just how they operate and what they're doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I just was wondering, and that's amazing on how they do with the vehicles. But that's on record. That's how it's done. Okay.
Jen?
Yep.
Did we have any, according to department comments, engineering and building that said no comments yet received? I didn't know if there was anything that came from them.
Nope. I provided an updated comments, departmental comments list tonight, and that's what we received. No, I don't think we received anything else from the engineering department for comments. But we did I did provide a amended resolution just to include a couple other site plan or site-specific conditions, just regarding like the storage of
They have the
chemicals,
dates.
sand,
I don't know,
silt.
you can't put a stipulation on it to do an addition. No, I just,
Because the property, a portion of it at least is over an aquifer. So in the interest of protecting the aquifer, we just propose those conditions.
well, that's why I asked the questions on the oil, and if any of the wetlands commissions are here, that they also hear it. Well, we do have a number of the wetlands here, but it helps that it's on the record. They'll be aware of it.
Well, I mean, you also got a concrete floor now versus a gravel. They have gravel on the side of it, so, I mean, it's more containment and.
Just a thought, has nothing, well, it does have something to do with it. How about, is that mail drop or the mail area, is that big enough for your project? And
Works perfect.
it is?
Yep, all the mailboxes are there.
There's a mailbox for every unit.
Well, even the ones that aren't built.
Yes.
Yes, they're all in there, all 340.
Terrific planning. Okay. Yeah, anyone further? All right. This is a public hearing. Anyone in the public would like to speak in favor or against this application? Anyone in the public would like to speak in favor or against this application? Then I will close public hearing 2902. I need to bang it.
Yeah, bang it.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we move for the approval of draft resolution to approve public hearing number 2902, dated April 19th, 2018, as prepared by the Planning Department with the conditions listed. And there are a total of 25 conditions with two site-specific conditions.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? And any abstentions? Unanimous, 7-0-0. Glad. Now, the chair would entertain a motion. It looks sort of, I don't know what happened here. To move item number 11, which is a public hearing, and move it up because the next one is a SPR site plan.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded, move public hearing 2781 next. All in favor? Opposed? And no abstentions, unanimous. Stay where you are. Again, just for the record, if you would, name and address.
J. Ursary, J.R. Russo and Associates, office address, Shawham Road, East Windsor, and Cliff Chapman, the developer, address, Ellington, Connecticut.
Yes.
Okay.
This is really just an extension or a request for an extension to a previously approved
Is your
special.
microphone on again?
Yep. It's an extension to a previously approved special permit application for 2781. They just need more time to construct the buildings. The request was originally part of the PH 2902 application, but we separated it out since it was approved under a different application number, and that's why that was put on the agenda under other business as opposed to public hearings with the first one.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I flip the plan over here, I can show you.
No, we didn't. Let me read. Let me have. Read. Is a legal note? Was there a legal notice on this?
No.
At least take the roll in.
Right. Charles Duran.
Here.
Nick Lefakis. Here. Mary Scott.
Here.
Virginia Higley.
Here.
Ken Nelson.
Here.
Linda DeGray.
Here.
Sarah Gruber.
Here.
Guillermo Salazar.
Here.
And Rich Suzak is here.
Okay. Well, it's a continuation, but anyway, they were here. Okay. Linda DeGray will be sitting in on this.
So this is an application for an extension of the permit for another 5 years to complete the construction. As I had said earlier, there's 34 buildings here, residential buildings, 340 units. Currently, there are 16 buildings completed and CO'd, and there are residents in each one of those. there are 4 buildings that are under construction. The buildings that are completed are these that are shown here. There's 4 buildings under construction here, and then the ones that are shaded in gray are the ones to be completed. So Mr. Chapman's pretty confident within the next 5 years, certainly he'd get these done. In fact, I think he'd like to be done in another two years. It took a little while to get off the ground when he got started. As you may or may not remember, there was some work that had to be done that was required by DEEP in terms of some endangered or threatened species on the other side of the road. That was all done first. Took a little bit of time. The walking trails and stuff were put in, but at this time, the unit construction is moving along quite well, and the rentals are doing very well. So he would hope to be done probably 2 to 3 years, but we're asking for a 5-year permit extension.
Well, no comments from anyone? Okay.
I think he's made a big commitment to the town, and I think it looks lovely. Everybody talks about it. And if he needs more time to do a good job, I say go for it.
Okay. No. I guess it's not a public hearing. It's a continuation. I just saw the PH, but they were here anyway.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make the motion that we approve the extension, and I'll just read, it's only 3 paragraphs, it might make some sense. The Planning and Zoning Commission, public hearing 2781, 370 North Maple Street. Whereas the Infill Planning and Zoning Commission has received an application to extend a special permit for 5 more years to allow more time for the remaining apartment buildings to be constructed located at 370 North Maple Street, map 78, lot 30, MFHD zone, and now therefore be it resolved that the Infield Planning and Zoning Commission hereby approves public hearing 2781 to extend the special permit for 5 more years to allow more time for the remaining apartment buildings to be constructed at 370 North Maple Street, map 78, lot 30, MFHD zone.
So moved.
Motion's made.
Second.
And seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous, 700.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, if any of you haven't been up there to watch them, I'll tell you, the crew's working and the way they handle and do things, it's amazing. It's really quite an operation.
He just thanked us, and we should be thanking him. I mean, he's got a huge investment in the town of Enfield that, not many people are willing to take on right now, so.
It's amazing. It's an amazing.
Yeah.
And that was scrub pine, and actually it had somebody else that started but didn't complete it, right? Yep.
I was in one unit this week, and it's quite nice.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Okay. Now, public hearing, site plan review 1741. Secretary, please take the roll.
Charles Duran.
Here.
Nick Lefakis.
Here.
Mary Scott.
Here.
Virginia Higley.
Here.
Ken Nelson. Linda DeGray.
Here.
Sarah Gruber.
Here.
Guillermo Salazar. And Richard Suzak is here.
Linda DeGray will be sitting in for the absent commissioner. The applicant is here. Okay, if you will, name and address, please.
My name is Jennifer McKenna, and the business address is 95 High Street, Enfield, Connecticut.
That's your address?
My personal address is 4 Mountain View Avenue, Enfield, Connecticut.
Thank you. You got to make the presentation, ma'am.
Okay. Good evening. I originally applied to open up a boxing gym in 95 High Street in the Molinas Plaza. And I guess I'm waiting to hear from approvals whether planning and zoning will allow the use. I did have comments from the fire chief that he did come and do a site inspection on this past Monday. I haven't received any comments from him from that inspection yet.
Jen, did you have a copy for her? Because we have some, the fire marshal had some concerns.
Yep, I believe the fire marshal copied the applicant on.
Yes, I was on that email copied. I received that on Sunday evening, and so Monday I made arrangements for him to come in and do the inspection. So he came in approximately 3 p.m. on Monday. He did state that the building department refused to attend the inspection, and he didn't really, he just had a comment regarding some of the fire lights that were inside. But other than, we discussed the concern with the dumpster, which we do have a dumpster outside, which is on a monthly service. And he didn't mention again about the parking lines. But other than that, he really didn't mention that he had any other concerns. So I was just waiting to see if I would receive any other comments.
Because the memo that we got on our desk today says that there was no building permits pulled and there was a wall taken down to open up 2 units.
Yes, originally we had this gym in Agawam, Mass, and we decided, since I live here, that it would be just more convenient to relocate the gym to Enfield. I guess I wasn't up to speed as far as the different regulations amongst the different towns, and I know I just kind of went along with how Agawam was doing them, and
Well, Agawam doesn't let you put up a sign on the building before you get an okay, do they? I mean, we have a poster that you put out since February, I believe.
yes.
So you've been here since February and operating.
If I may, because of the operation opening and because of the signage, she was issued a cease and desist order. I don't have the exact date, but we had a conversation after the cease and desist, and it was explained about that she didn't have approval for the use of that particular tenant space at this particular time, plus the issue of not taking out permits for the taking down the wall, a couple other things
Were
within
those
inside the building.
walls bearing walls, or?
They were separation walls. I can't even, they haven't gone into inspect, so I don't even know if there's an issue with that. That's where the building department's going to come into play, because they're going to have to, part of the,
truss
yeah.
system, the roof over there, and they're just fire barrier walls that are supposed to go all the way to the roof. And to make different spaces, they removed one to make a single space. So if anything, they just need a demolition permit if that's required.
Oh, okay.
I know when the fire chief was there, he did mention that it was just a fire safety wall.
Just,
Oh, okay.
just out of curiosity, I noticed that you're going to be
Your mic-
having,
is your mic
it
on?
is on.
Okay,
I
sorry.
noticed that you're going to have boxing matches open to the public?
Actually, back in October, we did have a permitted special event at a different location at the Elks Lodge, and that went through planning and zoning and, fire, and, but at this particular location, we wouldn't be holding any of those types of events. The space isn't,
Thank you.
Seeing as I have no idea, and I don't know if the rest of them have no idea what you do, give us some idea of what you do and the ages that you do it with.
Okay. So basically, we teach boxing skills. We have amateur boxers from beginning at the age of 4 up through, we had a client that she was in her late 60s. USA Boxing sanctions are amateur boxers, and they are part of USA Boxing Olympic Committee.
They're your instructors?
Our instructors and myself as well, we are certified USA Boxing coaches.
Oh, okay.
And so not only would we have the amateur boxers that would be registered with USA Boxing, we also would have, just a regular citizen that would like the membership for fitness to do, boxing classes to teach them cardiovascular, exercises, boxing skills. So it would be a combination of, actually the amateurs actually go and do compete as part of the USA Boxing sanctioning.
Are they done in groups or individual?
The classes?
You're right.
There would be
The reason
private.
I ask, you're going out over TV, you may be picking up some, if you explain exactly what you're doing.
There would
I'm not being.
No, there would be private lessons would be available by our coaches, and classes offered as well. That would be groups of, one person up to, I believe we planned 12 heavy bags.
So you have bags in there? And
We have a couple bags up, but we don't have the full scope of what I had put on the plan at this time, because we kind of stopped.
It sounds like an old school gym. Rocky,
Well,
when we
yeah, I
watch
just
Rocky,
wanted
Exactly.
exactly, not these elaborate things that people got there.
Exactly.
It's an old school gym, and
So basically, is it like a membership? You get a membership to come in and just.
We will
and do
offer
classes?
monthly memberships with no contracts, and then there's also, if you just wanted to drop in for the day, there's a daily fee. If somebody just wanted to come out and hit a bag,
Good.
let
There you
some.
go.
Oh, somebody just wanted to practice?
Yes.
What are your intended hours of operation?
Intended hours of operation would be from 3 to 9 p.m.
Every day? 7 days a
Monday
week?
through Saturday, and then by appointment only for personal training outside of before 3 p.m.
so when you have a client that's over 65 years old, do you make them sign a waiver so you don't get arrested for hitting them?
We do have the waivers and any health concerns on our application forms, and if we do have an older applicant, we do require some kind of something from their physician.
Yeah, there you
Heard
go.
about?
I think it's a perfect location for it. Hopefully, some of the younger kids down there,
Yeah, can work
end
off-
up joining our gym and
Work
keeps
off
them
some
out of
energy,
trouble.
yeah.
And yeah,
They
absolutely.
keep them off the streets.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's in a good location.
Yeah, I agree.
I have one question. How hard is it to do the speed bags? They look so easy, but it's got to be eye-hand
It
coordination.
looks easy, but it's all timing.
Right, right. That's what I'd be interested in learning how to do.
There you
Watch
go.
me.
Join her gym and she'll train you.
But we'd have to have your wife watch out.
Field trip.
Okay. Anything further? Okay, well, it's an SPR. You don't have to open it to anybody.
Now, do we need any additional input from the fire marshal or the building department or?
What
or
have you
anything?
got? Well, I think you have to have the final inspections, right? You got inspections coming up? Who's got that?
Yeah, the zoning enforcement officer, along with the building department, will sign off before she can open for business.
You got the resolution here on the front page here, and you've got 20 conditions, and I don't know if you want to add any or not. Have you gotten a list of the conditions?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
She'll give you a list. Take a look at them, please, and see if you have a question about them, and maybe we can answer, or Jen can answer.
These are really the only ones. These are all standard. These ones right here are the ones that are
Signage permit, item 2, will come from the office. And
I have submitted a sign
you're
application.
all set? Yeah, okay.
So we put 2 site-specific conditions on, but the fire marshal comments came in after we wrote the resolution. So if you want to put a condition that his comments be addressed, as far as I know, the striping of the parking lot was
That'll
one
have
of
to be an additional one. I think that's what Rich was asking.
Now, in reference to the restriping of the parking lot lines, would that fall under the owner of the property?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So would that need to be remedied prior to receiving approval, or?
Well,
how do you handle that, or what, Rich?
We'll have to contact the representative of the property at this time and
They all
make
are faded
arrangements.
anyway from all the way from
Yeah,
this
I
right
looked.
down.
I looked through the parking lot several times. There's some that are fine, and there's others just from more use, more activity that are fairly faded. So some of them probably okay. Other portions may have to be restriped.
Okay, so if you probably mention it to your landlord that they need to be restriped, and then he's going to follow through.
Okay.
Are you making that a condition of her approval?
No.
All right, because that's kind of out of her control.
No, no, that's why I said,
Okay.
she can just say to her
Absolutely, yeah.
landlord, but he's going to follow through with it.
Okay.
Any other problems? Have you finished? Well, she's still reading. She hasn't got.
There's a lot of comments. So I guess I'm curious what type of plans that you're requiring for me to submit?
For every
Engineering plans, or?
For every application, we require just final sets of what you submitted and what was approved by the commission. So if there aren't any changes that the commission is requiring of you, then it would be 4 sets of final plans of what you gave to us, which is really just printing the 4, at least the floor plans. And then they just get signed off by the director. And you just have to write a little letter that says you acknowledge and accept the conditions, and then you should be set.
Okay. Okay.
All right?
Yes.
Okay. Motion to be in order then, Rich. Just add the one with the fire marshal.
Okay.
I don't know where are the others.
Yeah, we weren't going to add the well, we were going to, he only has the striping concern, correct?
Oh.
But that concern.
Right.
Fire marshal was interior, right?
But isn't that a building department issue?
It's going to be both. It's going to be the fire department inspection and the building department. She's going to have to go to the building department and apply for a building permit for the work that was done without permitting.
Right, but the fire marshal was already in there, and other than those the separator walls.
He usually goes through a second time to make sure if there's any additional work, he'll go through, because he's got to sign off on it also. So he'll go through a second time just to verify what was done.
They won't get a CO from the town building department until the fire marshal signs that, so it is kind of out of our purview.
Thank you.
So, in addition, I know the building department had mentioned to me in passing that I couldn't apply for any of the building permits for any of the work that was completed until I was approved through planning and zoning, so I'm not sure how this is going to work, if that's one of the conditions to get the CO, if...
Well, I'll make a motion.
Okay.
In terms of, I'll make a motion that we move to approve, the draft resolution for site plan review 174195 High Street, Old School Boxing, dated April 19th, with the I guess, existing 20 conditions, and we're going to sort of supplement an 18A condition that you sort of, get the comments or the approval of the fire marshal and the building department as whatever their concerns might be.
Okay.
That we also include them as part of the, the conditions. But
Second.
that's going to be part of what you're going to do anyways.
Right, correct.
Second.
Motion's made, seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Hope you do
I look
well.
forward to offering a great service to everybody.
And as far as next steps,
Okay.
we'll send you a letter, and of course, we'll be in contact with you. about
I
what
see
comes next.
people in the audience. Is there something you'd like to address the commission with or for? Or something we can do for either one of you?
They're just here for the entertainment.
Is that right? All right. Correspondence. Commissioners, any correspondence? You've been around town, any? Yes.
Today, I went down to Meriden to the opening of the ribbon cutting for the train station down there. And that was quite interesting to see the way they constructed it. It's going to be very similar to what we have with the no restrooms, so on and so forth. And it was a really neat experience to watch, to see, and also got to take a look at a lot of the revitalization and their TOD, what they've done down there, the transit-oriented development, and how they've converted some of that downtown area. And they still have a lot of work to do, but there's some great things that they do that we need to sometimes, I think, look at as well. Some wonderful pieces, such as they have you can have a parking garage, but as long as a building fronts it and you can't see it from the street, it was an awesome concept, and I thought that was great, doing things like that to help maintain the image of a downtown nice area, but you also adequately provide the parking, things like that, that's necessary for it. So there's a lot of good ideas that we saw. Meriden, down in Meriden. So it's something to take a look at, even take a look at their TOD regulations, because we could probably learn something from them and go from there. So that's it.
Okay, anyone else? You had in your packet the Connecticut Federation of Planning and Zoning quarterly newsletters, and there is a paragraph in there on the conference that some of you all attended. And you have the Town of Enfield Planning Division, and these are things, some of them that we've handled, but you have ones that are coming up. And you can see that the office has been busy, and with construction time coming up, you'll probably get a little bit busier up there. Any questions on any of these for Jen, if she can answer them? But you see, there's quite a lot going on. Okay, and I guess, any report from the planning director?
I know that there was discussion about a potential workshop on April 26th, similar to the one that was held last week. But after consulting with with Francisco, the TOD consultant, with his schedule and availability to get the work product in, we're looking to not hold the April 26th workshop, but we are working to get a schedule through the end of June for you guys, like a potential workshop schedule to continue working with the consultants on the TOD project. Yep.
Just one quick question. Are the other land use boards going to be included in that workshop, seeing that Thompsonville does encompass all of those other land uses? I mean, I just see that it was a wonderful workshop, a great presentation, gave us a lot of information, and there was a lot of questions that we were concerned with that other land use and other boards could help us
I think what
answer
she's
and
saying,
understand
and I
and
would
see
agree.
and bring it all together so that, we have an issue that was before us today where a decision was made 70 years ago and it's all been isolated because this person, this board did this and this board did that. But to bring all of them together to see it and get that one big concept so that we don't make those mistakes for the future. So
Yeah, if that's something that you guys would like to do, we can certainly
I think they
accommodate
should
that.
be invited to participate
Yes.
or to be there and know what's happening, because I agree with her that it would be beneficial, because had that happened before, it would have changed my mind last time, because we weren't given that type of information on what we were being asked to do. And that opened my eyes really to a lot of understanding of the measurement height, the distance between the building.
trees.
The trees, yes, the
Beautification
trees.
needs to be there.
I mean,
Yes,
and,
yes.
and a lot of the whole presentation was good. Some of it was long, but it was made, I think, to me, it drove it home.
Yeah.
Really. And it was a great presentation. And the other land use boards, whether it's in the planning or zoning, to me, yes, I agree with her. It would have benefited.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something we can accommodate. We also put that presentation from Francisco up on our website.
Good.
If anyone
Oh,
wants
it
to
is?
take a look at
Okay.
that.
I think we really also need to make sure that I know we are having the public come, but make sure that they are aware of what we're doing so that they can be observing and watching the process too as we go through.
That's what I said.
Every
to her.
workshop is noticed, but if you would like it to be maybe legally advertised, we can also
I think they
accommodate that.
should, yeah, because I had talked to the three that were there, and they said, well, they were having the meeting at the fire department on the budget, and so some of them weren't there. But, yes, they should attend, because also what was stated there, it wasn't to disrupt anything that's there now. It was putting
Yeah.
things back to what they have there, rather than taking things away from them.
And it really showed us that we have this great potential in the Thompsonville district. Well, what's it called now? The
River Gateway.
Whatever. I'm sorry, it's Thompsonville. Sorry. But it showed the potential, and it demonstrated that we're not unique. There's other big cities out there that are high rent districts struggling and having the exact same problems that we have. So it really was a great workshop.
Yeah, so yeah, we can definitely open up the workshops and
It's the type
get
of
the word
thing
out.
I'd also like openly, though, with P and Z, because the other group that's working, because right now we don't know what path they're on, but we're going to have to know ourselves what they're on, because in the end, we're the ones that are going to have to vote on the entire package, which will include that other group.
Yeah.
And right now,
Economic development, is that what you're talking
I don't know what other, no, there's another group with their own.
The market study?
What
I-
is it?
Yeah, I believe it is a market study. They're
And that's
working with, I believe, the Director of Development Services on
But
their
there's a person, there's a group.
The economic development.
Yes. Yep.
Economic
Yeah, and they're
development
working
is the
with
one
economic
doing that,
development. Yep.
working with them on the market stuff.
Yeah, but there's people that are coming in that are giving
Presentations to them.
presentations, yeah.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying. We need to have that, because in the end, we're the ones that are going to have to know what they're doing, because
Yeah.
we're the ones that are going to have to.
Yeah, to understand what their process they're going through, just as much as
And
they understand what we're doing.
talked to Michael to have him come, and that has to be done in a public hearing, because
Yeah.
the presentation to us would have to
Absolutely.
be by then. So
Okay, yeah, well, we can
they've got to come
see if we
in.
can make that happen.
Yep. And
Yeah.
there is,
Well,
I believe, a
I've
draft report.
talked to him, and it's up to Michael. Michael's got to get them in, or when he's ready.
Well, he's excited.
Oh, I know.
Michael is very excited about, moving this along and getting all of our feedback and everything. And,
But we
if-
can't do any feedback or discussion about that end of it until we
Right.
know what they're doing.
right.
Okay, anything, I think those are great ideas. Anything else from the Director of Planning or from your end?
Nope, not right now. I mean, we gave you the pending applications list, just to show you everything that we have. It's very busy with construction season coming up. So if you guys have any questions for me regarding what you see on the lists or
And as I talked
outside.
to Roger, as long as I can get 4 people and you have people that are ready, we're willing to go and meet with them at any time. All it takes is 4 of us.
Right, but
And
they
I've
have
always
to be
been
ready.
usually able to get 4.
Okay.
So if you have somebody that's ready to go and they have everything down, in other words, not somebody that's going to have to withdraw or doesn't have a permit for, let's say, the fire marshal hasn't checked it and stuff like that.
Right.
They've got to be ready, because most of those we can pass right through in a night if we have had the time. We're willing to take them.
Okay. Yep. That's good to know.
Get them
'Cause-
done and out of the way.
Okay. So yeah, and we're
With a
gonna work.
special meeting.
Yep, and we'll work to get
I'm thinking of Win
a.
Stanley, is it Win
schedule.
Stanley that we just released bonds? Or did we?
Yeah, we
Yeah, we released the bonds for them. I don't know if they're ready to go, but I know they have a lot of property and a lot of activity in town.
They do. We don't have any
And last time they were in,
applications
they
right
were
now.
all set and lined up and,
Yeah, we don't have any pending applications from them right now that need approval from commissions, but I suspect that we will be receiving a lot more applications as the construction season approaches.
Is McDonald's going to be on the agenda for the next meeting? Because that had come up as something that, and I'm not sure if they're ready to go or not.
no, they are.
We have to circulate those plans. Those just came in, so.
They've been,
But we are looking to move them forward. We did have meetings with them prior to their submissions, so. Yep.
okay, any administrative approvals?
Not for tonight.
Okay. Anything unresolved?
Nope, we got our chickens.
We got our chickens, yeah.
Yes.
Roger was going to do something, and I think it moves closer, because I read some town voted already on where they're going to be able to open their marijuana store in their town. Has he done anything, or have you been doing anything on that? I just don't want to get caught like we were with
Oh, was he working with you?
these other stores, yeah. The stores like next to McDonald's, 'cause, just the locations.
We're in the process of checking the other towns, how they proceeded, so we're, why reinvent the wheel if some of the other towns
Well,
are...
you're right, but I just want to know that it's coming through, because I put this up several years ago when it was first brought up, and nothing was ever done, and I'd rather be ready for it and have it in place rather than have them select, and then we have to go by what they have because of the court order or something else. Okay. That's it for me.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
The motion's made second. All in favor? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Very
Short
good
meeting.
meeting.
Yay.